Well, last time you remember, Boris Badenov had got hold of the Kerward Derby, whose wearer becomes the smartest man on earth.
At last, the world is mine!
But there was one other claimant for the diabolical derby in the person of Fearless Leader. He had the drop on Boris until Natasha crept up behind him and...
Oh!
But as the two villains pummeled each other furiously, one of them happened to kick the Kerwood Derby, and unbeknownst to them, it rolled blithely downhill to where our friend sat dejectedly trying to get results from a bogus bowler.
You sure you don't feel smart, Bullwinkle?
Ask me something.
Okay. How many states in the United States?
I mean something easy.
Spell Mississippi.
Let's see. M-I-S-S-I-S-S.
Oh, Bullwinkle.
It's a long river, you know.
Something's wrong with your magic hat.
Oh, if Rocky only knew, for Boris had switched derbies with Bullwinkle and given him one that contained a small but effective time bomb.
Doesn't the hat say anything to you at all?
Just tick, tick, tick.
Well, that's no help.
Sure not.
But at that moment, the real Kerwood Derby rolled past them. In a twinkling, Rocky had caught up with a hopping headpiece and brought it back to Bullwinkle.
Try me now, Rock.
What's the longest word in the English language?
Anti-disestablishmentarianism, what else?
That's it!
On the other hand, the longest word in Latin is honorificabilitudinatatibus.
Wow! You better take it off, Bullwinkle.
How come?
Your head's beginning to smoke again.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we don't need this one anymore.
And Rocky lightly tossed away the bomb-filled bowler. By chance, it skimmed through the air and landed right at the feet of Natasha Fatal.
I wear the derby.
No, I wear the derby.
Natasha, are you a loyal Pennsylvanian?
You know it, Fearless Leader.
Then your duty is clear.
Naturally, darling.
And Natasha picked up a nearby tree branch and clouted Fearless Leader.
Honey bun, you did it. But I thought you were loyal Pennsylvanian.
Right, Boris. And first duty of any Pennsylvanian is
double-cross everybody. And now for my moment of triumph, I put on derby and become smartest man in world.
Well, darling.
Well, I'm waiting. Something's bound to happen soon.
And it did.
Boris, it exploded.
Good guess.
What we do now?
You know, I've been thinking of applying for civil service job.
Boris, what civil service job could you do?
I could start civil wars.
And it looks like you're beginning already.
Sure enough, it seemed that Fearless Leader had recovered from his blow on the noggin.
Well, bad enough, I'm glad to find out at last what a renegade you are.
What a what?
Renegade, darling, is nice way of saying you're a fink.
Me?
But you won't be for long.
You are going to liquidate me after I saved your life?
Another trick, bad enough?
No, look at Derby. It was really a bomb.
So that is why you wanted to put it on first.
Of course, old boss man lover pumpkin lamby pie. I didn't want anything to happen to my beloved superior.
Stop drooling on my knuckles, bad enough. You're giving me rheumatism.
So you wouldn't knock off loyal old me, would you?
Bad enough, are you really loyal?
If I'm not, may lightning strike me this minute. See, it missed me.
Very well, bad enough. I give you one more chance to get the Kerwood Derby.
That's all I need. I got new plan.
What is it, darling?
I can't tell you.
It's too terrible to mention, yes?
No.
Then why can't you tell me?
Because episode is over.
So it is. Be with us next time for A Snitch in Time or The Thinking Man's Filter.
Excuse me, little boy. Have you seen my son?
Pop, I am your son.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You don't look anything
But
like
Pop,
my...
it's me,
It's
Junior.
Well, Plupertus Juvius it is. Would you mind telling me, young man, how you got into this condition?
Well, you see, Pop, me and the other kids were playing a game.
What game?
It's called Mud. You see...
Never mind. I'd rather not hear about it. How many times have I told you, son, a happy home is a neat home?
But I'm a boy, Dad, not a home.
The adage still applies. Perhaps if I related a fable illustrating it, you'd understand more clearly. You're sure you're my son?
It's me.
Yeah. Well, many years ago, there was a hut in the forest. No one had lived in this hut for 20 years. Then one day, a tiger and his wife came along in search of a new abode.
Well, it ain't Frank Lloyd Wright, but it'll do.
Do what?
Never mind, kitten. It's been a long day.
And with that, they went inside and set up housekeeping. Like most tigers, they had good habits and bad habits. Telling you about their good habits would make a very uninteresting fable, so we shall dwell on their bad habits. The worst of which was eating a meal and then throwing the bones out of the window.
You know what I want for Christmas, Tiger Baby? A garbage disposal.
Well, what do you need a garbage disposal for when you got a window?
But 6 months later, that question came up again.
You know what I want for Christmas, Tiger Baby? A room with a view.
Yes, by now the bones had piled so high they blocked the window.
Here, take this shovel and go bury the bones.
I got a better idea. You take the shovel and go bury the bones.
That settled it. The bones stayed right where they were. Unable to throw them out the window, they were now forced to throw them out the door. And in less than a year, they were completely hemmed in.
Tiger Baby, I got a bone to pick with you.
You're bugged by our present existence, right?
Right. Either the bones go or I go.
Bye, sweetie.
Gathering her few possessions, Mrs. Tiger prepared to bid her husband farewell. And that's when they heard the strange noise. Katz being curious, he clawed his way out the window to investigate, and what he saw was a rare bone-eating porcupine.
Unpack, kitten. Our problems are over.
What do you mean?
Well, like Aesop said, there's a rare bone-eating porcupine out there, and he'll have us deboned by morning.
Greatly relieved, the two tigers retired, but not for long.
Tiger Baby, go tell that porcupine to chew softer.
All right, kitten.
Yow! What'd he say?
Well, he didn't say much, but I did get the point.
Well, look, I'd rather be boned in than lose a night's sleep. Get rid of the porcupine.
All right, kitten.
In back of the grass hut was a high cliff, and on top of that cliff, the tiger found a heavy anvil.
All I gotta do is push this anvil over the ledge and... pow! No more porcupine.
Taking careful aim, he summoned all his animal strength and... over it went.
That takes care of that. I guess that takes care of you. Oh, I must have missed. Honey, have you seen a... Where'd you get the new hat?
I can see right now that if I want anything done, I have to do it myself. Pick up the cannonball.
Yes, kitten.
Put it into the cannon.
Yes, kitten. By the way, what are we doing?
I'll get that porcupine into the cannon and we'll blast him clear out of the county.
Lighting the fuse, she got the porcupine's attention by saying...
Oh, look. Look at that big, juicy bone inside of the cannon.
Where?
There's only one thing left to do.
You mean...
We gotta move.
With that, the tigers picked up the grass hut and months later set it down in the middle of the North Pole.
You know something, baby? It's cold outside.
Yeah, but at least we got rid of the porcupine.
But days later, they were up to their old tricks. They lived on walrus steaks and just as before, threw the bones outside the hut. Needless to say, it wasn't long before a rare bone-eating penguin picked up where the porcupine left off. And so the tigers lived unhappily ever after. Now, you see, boy, why I always say a happy home is a neat home?
Yeah, I can see that. But it seems to me it'd be better to say people who live in grass houses shouldn't throw bones.
Takes after his mother, he does.
Well, fortune in the form of a strong breeze smiled once again on our heroes as it practically blew the Kerwood Derby into their laps. Now Bullwinkle is once more a mental marvel, the smartest moose in the world.
Or even in the US of A, which is bigger.
That is, when he's wearing the Derby.
The energy factors in electromagnetic quanta are proportionate to the wavelength of radiation.
But there's one drawback to wearing the Derby.
My brains keep overheating.
In the meantime, Boris and Natasha had been given one last chance to get the fabulous bowler back.
You see this box big enough?
Yes, fearless leader.
At noon, I send it to Pennsylvania with Kerwood Derby inside.
Suppose I don't get Derby.
I send it back with you inside.
But I wouldn't be able to breathe in there.
Believe me, that will be the least of your problems.
You mean?
Jawohl, you won't be breathing.
Oh, boy.
Boris, he's not kidding.
You're not kidding, he's not kidding. Come on.
And the two villains set off on their last desperate attempt to thwart our heroes, who were at that moment wondering what to do with the Derby.
Bullwinkle, there's only one place that hat should be.
On a hat rack!
We gotta take it to Washington.
He never wears a derby.
No, I mean...
Usually he wears a wig.
Bullwinkle!
Besides, he's not with us anymore, you know.
Bullwinkle!
He's gone to the big cherry orchard in the sky.
I don't mean George Washington. I mean Washington, D.C.
Oh, him!
That derby should be worn by the heads of government.
Say, that's right.
Now, how do we get to Washington from here? We're broke.
Beats me.
Put on the hat and see if you can get an idea.
Okay, let's see. Well, obviously the best way to get to Washington is run for office and be elected.
Bullwinkle, it worked.
You did? What'd I say?
We're going to run as candidates.
All the way to Washington?
No. Come on, I'll show you.
Rocky and Bullwinkle started their campaign. First, they held a rally of the Hatful clan.
And if I'm elected, I'll drive every Floy out of the county.
Next, they held a rally for the Floy clan.
And if I'm elected, I promise to drive every hatful out of the county.
You're going to be quiet around here after the election.
As a result, before the day was over, Rocky had been unanimously elected as a representative from Peaceful Valley, Missouri, and was on his way to Washington.
Traveling first class, too.
Yep, first-class freight.
Boris, they are getting away.
Of course, but the Derby won't.
Yes, at that moment, Rocky asked,
When will we arrive in Washington, Bullwinkle?
Wait, I'll put on my demon derby and come up with the answer.
Boris prepared to hurl a strange weapon.
He's a boomerang, Natasha.
Darling, you can throw a boomerang.
In a perfect cycle, Natasha. Watch.
And just as Bullwinkle began to speak,
We'll arrive in Washington on
the boomerang neatly lifted the Derby from his head.
Go on, Bullwinkle.
Go on where?
When do we get there?
Why, ask me.
'Cause you're wearing the Kerwood Derby on your head and... Hokey smoke, it's gone.
My head?
The hat.
Oh, I'm glad it wasn't my head. I wouldn't have nothing to hang my antlers on.
The wind must have blown it off. Stop the train.
Well, here it comes, darling. Oh, Boris, you're such a dirty crook.
You're just saying this because you know it's true.
Where did you learn to throw boomerang?
Where else? Australia, where I spent 2 years living with the kangaroos.
You were a naturalist.
No, a pickpocket.
Well, it looks as if our bad guys have won at last. But anyway, watch our next gloomy episode, Boomerang Bowler, or Boris Makes a Comeback.
What's the matter, Bullwinkle?
The Bullwinkle fan club got challenged to a softball game by the Shirley Temple fan club.
Well, did you accept?
Yup, but I forgot we don't have enough members for a softball team.
Well, we better get some more.
But how?
By hiring me, that's how.
Who you?
Jim Moransky, world's greatest publicity man. My card.
Publicity?
You sell it. And for first publicity stunt, you go over Niagara Falls in a barrel.
Isn't this getting publicity the hard way?
It's okay, kid. I don't mind a little work. Good luck.
Extra! Jim Moransky saves foolish moose!
Look, we make headlines first time out.
I don't see my name.
Look, that's you, Foolish Moose.
Yeah, that's me, all right. What are we gonna do this time?
You're going to jump into fireman's net down there. Nice crowd, huh, kid?
I'm supposed to hit that teensy-weensy little net?
That's the fireman's worry. You just got to jump. Rest is up to them.
Well, I'll make it easier for them.
How?
I'm gonna get down and jump from the first floor.
But...
Stand back, I'm coming in.
Jim Moransky coaxes moose off ledge!
How come you get your name and picture in the papers and all I ever get is moose? And where's all the new members?
Right here.
You want to join the Bullwinkle fan club?
No, we want to join the Moransky fan club.
Sorry, kid. That's fan club biz.
Toronto, second city of Canada, and name of the masked man's Indian friend. And it is here in downtown Toronto at the corner of 4th and Kimosabe that the Royal Canadian Museum of Art is located. Inside this hallowed structure, some of the world's most priceless masterpieces hang on public display. For instance, Newton Figby's immortal self-portrait, Newt descending a staircase. And here is that villainous viper, Snidely Whiplash, whose black cape matches the color of his heart.
You offend me, sir, and wrongly so, for you see, I have given up my nefarious ways for the guise of respectability. I am now a photographer.
Photographer?
Yes, I take pictures.
A week went by during which the Bear Spot took first prize at an international art festival. Then a museum guard discovered the theft.
One of our art craft is missing.
A massive air and sea search was launched. Finally, that proud and noble force was called upon, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Do-Right, have you seen my desk?
You are sitting behind it, sir.
Oh, yes, there it is.
The man with the coffee-stained mustache is Inspector Fenwick, who sold the Saturday Evening Post before he took this post over. Standing in the Mountie uniform is our stalwart hero, Dudley Do-Right.
You said you had a job for me, Inspector.
What are you working on now, Do-Right?
Well, you might say I am digging a hole behind the barracks.
Are you digging a hole behind the barracks?
Yes, sir.
Well, I have a more important assignment for you. I want you to dig a hole in front of the barracks.
Suddenly, an orderly dashed in and handed the inspector a copy of the Toronto Tribune.
Oh, good grief, this is terrible.
What is it, sir?
Somebody's already done the crossword puzzle.
The headline regarding the missing masterpiece eventually came to their attention.
Good luck, Do-Right.
Good luck to you too, sir.
Why are you wishing me good luck?
But aren't you going with me?
Oh, no, I can't stand Toronto.
Dudley was well schooled in the ways of the criminal mind. He knew that whomever stole the painting would try to sell it to a fence. Unfortunately, the only fence Dudley knew was of the picket variety.
All right, fence, where is the stolen picture? So, you won't talk, eh? Very well.
Dudley had ripped half of it out of the ground when his steel blue eyes noticed a poster tacked to the far end.
Come to Niagara and wrestle. 2 falls out of 3. By George, there is a clue if ever I saw one.
In those days, the only way to get to Niagara Falls was on a steamboat.
We're extremely overcrowded, Constable, but if you don't mind sharing a stateroom with another gentleman...
Not at all, Captain. And, oh, here, put this fence in the brig.
The gentleman who thought he had stateroom 202 all to himself was, of all people, Snidely Whiplash.
Not only will I get out of Toronto, but in an hour or two, I'll be out of Canada.
Hello there, sir. I'm your new roomie.
Do-Right.
Whiplash! Aha! So it was you.
Unfortunately, next to the picture was an incomplete game of tic-tac-toe.
Oh, say, look what we have here.
Dudley finished the game, and Whiplash finished Dudley. Grabbing the painting, Snidely dashed up to the main deck.
Quick, stop the boat. There's a man overboard.
Who?
Me.
And over he went. An hour later, he arrived at an airfield where he successfully took off in a plane. Seconds later, he was high over Toronto.
I have never been high over Toronto.
Unknown to the scallywag, Dudley wasn't far behind. He, too, had swum to shore and was at that very moment on Toronto's busiest street looking up at the fleeing airplane.
I know that Immelman anywhere. Whiplash is in that plane.
Acting without hesitation, he jumped into the nearest taxicab.
Quick, follow that plane.
But what he had gotten into was an automatic photo booth. He didn't go anywhere, but he did get a beautiful set of glossy 8x10s.
Faster, driver!
It's hard to believe, but everything worked out just fine. For you see, Whiplash had borrowed a plane that was extremely low on fuel. He was forced down while flying directly over the Mountie post. Matter of fact, he crashed right through the inspector's wall, just as Dudley walked in the door.
Whiplash, Do-Right.
Curses.
You've done it again, Do-Right. You've captured Whiplash and recovered the painting.
Let me tell you about the taxicabs in Toronto, sir.
Later, my boy. All right, Whiplash, hand over the painting.
You take one step and I'll set fire to it.
He is bluffing, Inspector.
And Dudley calmly took the painting.
Do-Right, what a magnificent display of guts.
Not really, sir. You see, this painting is coated with a non-combustible oil. It won't burn. Watch.
The museum can't thank you enough for recovering Newt descending a staircase, Inspector.
All in the line of duty, sir. Right, Do-Right?
If you say so, sir.
Derby has really been an on-again, off-again proposition. The latest on was when Rocky said,
Put it on, Bullwinkle. Maybe you can tell us what time we'll arrive in Washington.
Easy. We'll figure the circumference of the standard wheel disk times the rate of speed computed sigma times the inverse square of the logarithm of the cosine and tangent.
Sure we will.
And the latest off was when Boris hurled a boomerang which neatly lifted the Derby from Bullwinkle's dome and began to return it to the villains.
Darling, it's working.
Of course, when I throw boomerang, it always goes in perfect circle.
Careful, darling. Nobody's perfect.
Go ahead, Bullwinkle.
Go ahead and what?
Sigma your inverse cosiner. Uh-oh, your Derby's gone again.
The wind must have blew it all.
Stop the train!
Well, here it comes, Natasha. Now I
But
just...
the boomerang was just a little too high for Boris to reach, and as a result, it went past him in a wide arc and headed right back toward our heroes. Derby was deposited neatly on his head again.
And we'll be in Washington at 7:32.5 p.m.
Bullwinkle, it's back again.
Me, certainement, mon ami.
But the steam is coming out of your ears. You better take it off.
Well, Boris, you were right. Boomerang goes in perfect circle. First to them,
Then to us,
then back to them.
then... Hey, I just figured out.
What?
It should be coming back to us again. If...
Congratulations, darling. You were right again.
Who needs a...
Well, just as Bullwinkle had predicted, their freight train rolled into Washington at 7:32.5, and our boys dashed into town to deliver the Kerwood Derby to a responsible government agency. Unfortunately, by now it was 7:40 p.m.
Don't worry, we're closed for the day.
But this is important.
What is?
What we got in this hat box is...
Let me ask you, will it explode before 10 a.m.?
No, but it...
Will it melt?
No.
Will it go flat?
No,
Then
but...
come back in the morning.
Will somebody see us?
I don't know, but I'll be off duty then.
Golly, what are we going to do?
Say, I don't want to be a nosy Parkov, but aren't you Rocky and Bullwinkle?
That's right. Who are you?
Allow me to introducing myself. Hail, fellow J. Beckslap, official Washington greeter.
Greeter?
Listen. Welcome, welcome, welcome! Come.
Say, that's a pretty good greeting, all right.
Sounds like his welcome is wagon. But haven't we met before, Mr. Backslap?
I'd know you if we did, stranger. I'm terrible on faces, but I never forget a pair of antlers.
Well, maybe you can help us get a room, Mr. Backslap.
Can I help you get a room? Can I help you get a room?
You notice kind of an echo around here?
How would you like to spending the night in the little White House?
What's the little White House?
It's where the special friends of the president stay.
You mean we're special friends of the president?
Why not, Rock? I've been voting the straight bull moose ticket for years.
Gee, swell. Lead us to it.
And hail fellow J. Backslap led them down a dimly lit street to a house that was shabby, run down, and very sinister.
But it is white, sorta.
Golly, is this where the president's special friends stay?
Yes, and what's more, he's inside waiting for you.
He is?
Oh, he shouldn't have done it. Just a phone call would have been enough.
Well, for once, Boris wasn't lying. The president was waiting inside, but it was the president of the Liquidate Rocky and Bullwinkle Club, fearless leader himself.
And the meeting will come to order.
Be with us next time for All in Fever Say Aye, or The Emotion is Carried.